No, I have no knowledge of that.
Well, I find that somewhat astounding. Have you read the Auditor General's report?
I have not read it, no.
The Auditor General of Canada has audited contracts that the company you're a 50% owner of has undertaken, and you haven't read the report. Have you read the Office of the Procurement Ombudsman report?
No, I have not.
So as a director of this company and a 50% shareholder, your company has been brought into the public limelight for potential serious misconduct. Your contracts with the government have been suspended, all of the contracts. And this is because of reports that have been written by some of the main watchdogs who work on behalf of the Canadian public. And they've raised major red flags about your corporate practices of a company that you're one of the two principals, and you haven't even read the reports.
That's correct.
How can you dispute the findings of the reports if you haven't read them?
I agree with the numbers that Christian sent for our, as he gave in testimony yesterday.
So you're telling me that the statements that you've made about the Auditor's General reports are not based on reading the report. It's based on what Christian told you?
It's based on testimony given at these committees.
I just find this astounding that someone who works at your level and is the 50% owner of a company that has been scrutinized and brought into disrepute by the Auditor General and the Office of the Procurement Ombudsman, and now is being looked into by the RCMP, and soon the Public Sector Integrity Commissioner is going to be looking through your business dealings, and you haven't read any of these reports. Like, this is, I would, if I was an investor in this company, I would be very, very concerned. If I was a contractor for this company, I would be very concerned. And if I was the government contracting your company, I would be incredibly concerned that you're not even following the bouncing ball when it comes to these major allegations against your company's business practices. Can you see why that would be a concern?
Sure.
Mr. Anthony, did you ever attend any of the hospitality events for government officials that Mr. Firth referenced in the last meeting?
No, I have not.
And have you ever delivered gifts to government officials?
No, I have not.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to hand the floor back to you, and I'll begin my line of questioning again next round. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Bachrach. Mr. Brock, go ahead, please, for 5.
Thank you, Chair. Like my NDP colleague, sir, I'm completely astonished of your complete lack of preparation for this committee hearing. You start off in your opening statement talking about how you and Mr. Firth have been wrongly portrayed in media, newsprint, committee hearings, MP, word on the street. You talk about the financial stresses, the emotional stresses, and you don't have any concrete answer to clearly relevant questions. You very proudly stated that you stand behind the words of your partner, Mr. Firth, that the Auditor General's report was completely inaccurate. How on earth could you have prepared any less for this hearing by not taking 20 minutes to read the actual report? I find it absolutely astonishing, sir, and quite frankly, it reflects very poorly on your credibility. So I want to ask you some questions for clarification. Are you in a partnership with Firth, or are you a director in a company registered either through the Canada Corporations Act or the Ontario Corporations Act? What is it?
We are partners.
Do you have a partnership agreement? Yes or no?
Just can I confirm with my lawyer for 1 second, please?
Yep, go ahead, just mute yourself.
Sorry. We are a corporation, and I am a shareholder for that corporation.
So you're not
And I'm
you're not in a partnership. You may refer to yourself as partners, but you don't have a legal partnership agreement, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So you are a director, and you didn't understand that directors have joint and several liability, meaning that you're both responsible for consequences of the acts of directors. You're aware of that now, sir?
I don't believe that to be true.
Okay. Well, you can check with your lawyer on that. Mr. Firth has put it out there in real evidence that he has committed, not on one occasion, but on multiple occasions, acts of forgery that would be defined as a criminal act under the Criminal Code of Canada. He claims it was a mistake. And as a former prosecutor, pretty much every single accused that I dealt with in the last 20 plus years always claimed they made mistakes. You understand, sir, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You understand that?
Sure.
So if Mr. Firth was willing to do that, but I'm talking about the bottler complaint, on at least 4 or 5 occasions, without consulting, without getting approval, without getting clearance from bottler, to change the actual resume to ensure they received a contract, it really begs the question, how many times has your 50-50 partner, director, Mr. Firth, done that on other contracts? Do you have an answer to that?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
No, because what he does is up to him and what you do is up to you, correct? Is that your understanding?
Yes.
I see. Now, who was responsible for your web design on your website that probably fraudulently identifies several key government employees boasting about the value of your company? Who was responsible for creating this web design?
I'm not sure. I believe that we did hire out someone to build our website for us in 2015.
Okay. Who was the company?
I don't have that information in front of me right now.
You'll supply the information to us?
Yeah, I can check my records.
Okay. And in addition to Mr. Barrett's questions to you, you will also provide to me I'm going to give you 7 days to do this, sir, the names of all the government employees that are referenced in your website boasting about your particular company. You'll do that because you didn't have the answer as to who they were, but in 7 days you'll provide me with that information, won't you?
I can try and find that information for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Baines, please, for 5. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yesterday, Mr. Firth mentioned that he began working on government contracts within another company in 2007. You indicated you met him working within another company, but you said up until 2010. When did you begin?
I started at Veritech in 2005.
So Mr. Firth joined Veritech in what year?
2007.
So you were there prior to him?
Yes.
And over this time, you ultimately developed relationships with public officials who also have been working there for quite some time. And at any time, did you meet with Mr. McDonald?
No, I did not.
Okay. You talked about your only role in previous questions today was to verify subcontractors that were working. What's that process? What did you do to verify those subcontractors?
Well, for the security process, once we identify a resource need, we'll make sure they're eligible to get a government security clearance. They have to get their fingerprints taken. They need to document security number. It's a 25-digit code. That's done from any of your commissionaires, any fingerprinting with the RCMP. Once they have that and that number is verified, they send it to me. They give me their personal information. I entered it into the OLAS portal. Then it's resent to the resource. The resource completes their family history. It gets sent back to me. I review then make sure everything's processed and submit it.
So you simply did your work through a portal. You didn't exchange any of this information with any public officials. You indicated you were removed from having dealings with specific people. You're strictly operating in your role.
In that capacity, I'm only dealing with the OLAS portal. I have no contact with any officials.
Okay, so in your role to verify and do these security processes at any time, do you verify the people working, what their qualifications are? Because we've heard from Mr. Firth himself personally stating that he inflated information on resumes in order to, because he had a strong understanding over the years of what was required to, what requirements were needed to be met in order to gain certain contracts. It was almost like a skill developed over time to obtain government contracts. He knew how to do that and would know what, say, keywords, etc., needed to be placed into resumes. He indicated in prior testimony that that's something he did do. He admitted to it. So are you aware of that? Or was it your job to verify these things on things of that nature, or people's skills, whether they were real or not, during these security processes?
That is not a part of the security process. The security process is basically an individual's personal history and family history.
The individual's personal history to know what skill set they have and what role they would be doing within government?
Not within the PSBC government security clearance process.
It's simply more of a public safety or criminal record checks, these sort of things?
It's a criminal record check, and I believe you'd have to ask the RCMP on what their process is, but I believe it's a full family history check as well.
No, but that's your process. I'm talking about your process. So
yeah, my process.
Yeah, so you're simply submitting these people's informations to other public safety agencies to ensure that they are good citizens. They're not. They don't have any criminal records, and that's it.
That's it.
So you're not verifying who these subcontractors are with respect to